to this. Get to.
Hello, everybody.
Good
We
evening,
are
folks.
live.
I'm so glad to be here again with y'all.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's going to be a really exciting episode.
I think so
All
too.
of our episodes are exciting
Yeah.
because we never know what we're going to say.
So hopefully you're as excited as we are. Then. Oh, I had a not bad argument, but a disagreement with my wife a while back. We were talking about. She had said something about, "Why are you getting so excited about this?" And I was like, "I'm not excited." Wait a minute. Thinking about it, I was like, two atoms when they get excited, that's agitated. Yes, I am excited then. I was mad about something. And she was like, why did we just have that whole interaction? I was like, I don't know. Leave me alone right now. Um,
But y'all are good, right?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're good, right? So
Oh, yeah. And then next week you see us, we're splitting, divorce and everything. Like, I thought you said you were good. Like, yeah.
are we? Oh, okay. All right. Let's see what we got going here. What do we have
Oh.
going?
Oh, it is a little discombobulated for me, guys. I'm sorry. I
I
got here
know.
late and I'm
I
about to
can't
share
share
it.
for some reason.
It's probably because of Joe.
A few moments later.
Yeah,
I hope this is a case where all of y'all heard that and not just us.
I know, right?
That would be
Oh
really
no,
weird.
I tested it, so it will show up on the thing. So
Okay, I got it to
the
share.
question is how loud it's going to be because I turned it down a bit to make sure that it doesn't like all of a sudden blare out to people and they get they get this loud noise in in their earphones. So this is just a test. I may really be overdoing it this first show because it's kind of new.
It's a
So
new toy.
just deal with it, okay? Don't get triggered by it. It's a fun toy. You would do the same thing. So give me a break here.
All right, I want to push the button.
You want to push the buttons?
So, guys,
Yeah.
Okay, good. She said it's not that loud. Even better.
who said it?
Carrie Patton Jackson said
Oh, Carrie, I love her. Look at her coming on already. What is that?
Okay, I was wondering if it was just me
Joe?
or something else.
that.
Joe,
What is what?
I think
Are we hearing noise?
Yeah, like
it's like
that.
showering. Did you turn the shower off?
No, I did not. Hold on.
If someone's showering.
I'm gonna mute you. Unmute yourself when you think you got it.
Okay.
Oh, that was Joe.
That's way better. Okay. All right, Sandy. For these few seconds that we don't have Joe, it's just your show and my show right now. So.
I know, right? Let's
How
see
exciting!
how good we can do.
It's like we've got the invisible. What do they call it on the Get Smart? Remember there was the someone remind me. Whoever's watched Get Smart, there's a thing where they put the glass dome over them and you can't hear anything they're saying, and so that's where Joe is right now. He was a bad guy.
What about now? Do you hear the
He's
shower?
back. We didn't even get to say a whole lot.
I
Go back on
didn't.
mute,
It
Joe.
was
Go back.
because
Nah,
the
just-
trial version was over, and so now they want me to buy it. So
Boo.
So that was a good test
Well-
run there.
And here's this. Jamie did inform us that if you use a different email, you can get another free trial.
Did I?
I
Say
learned
that?
something from Jamie yesterday.
oh yes,
Do y'all remember that?
There you go. There you go.
do that.
We're all learning things.
We
So,
are. Hey, I was
what
going
did
to
you
tell
learn
y'all
today?
real quick.
Go ahead.
So back in I think it was December, we were Christmas shopping and we went to GameStop and they had told us they were those little baby Yoda memes that were crazy.
Oh right. Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, we were at GameStop and they were like, do y'all want to go ahead and pre-order a baby Yoda? They're like, you just put $5 down. And I'm like, sure, we'll order it.
I remember that thing.
Forgot all about it, hadn't thought one bit about it. And today GameStop calls and says, hey, your baby Yoda is here. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm geeking out about it. I don't watch Alien versus Predator or Star Trek.
Oh, check
Oh.
that out, Sandy.
We got baby Yoda, a little bobblehead.
That
so
is awesome.
cool. I love that.
I know. And then Kate's like, Mom, that's really not Yoda. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Wait, what is he talking about?
I know. He's like, it's just the
Is it-
same species or something. And I'm like, It's Baby Yoda. It's fine.
Yeah. It's kind of like I said the other day too, right? If it talks like a duck and it walks like a duck, then
Right, exactly.
it's a Baby
Yeah.
Yoda.
And
Oh,
they
and
haven't said
al-
anything otherwise. So
Right. And I also want to say happy birthday to G. He's turning, I don't know how old he is. 32, maybe 33. G, how old are you?
30. We'll say 25 for you, G. I
Right.
feel you, brother. I feel
Happy
you.
birthday, G.
25. And then today's Selena's birthday too, y'all.
Oh, that's right.
Selena,
It's the
oh.
16th.
Not Selena Gomez.
Oh, okay.
The original.
The bitty bitty bum
the
bum.
original
The big-
Selena.
yes. Selena's birthday's today.
She was. That's when I first heard about what's cumbia,
Cumbias.
the
dance?
walking around in a circle to the music. But there's some
Yeah.
people that like they take it next level, man.
Yeah, those
They
are
got the boots and
experts,
everything.
or those have been drinking quite a bit. I mean, there's really a fine line.
Right. Exactly.
So, but anyhow,
Oh wow, Rain
your
just
day?
threw him under the bus there.
what did she say? Of course she did.
She said
He's turning as young as Yoda.
he is 33.
I knew it.
Ouch. Ouch.
And he's the older brother, so y'all know how that is.
How was your day today, Joe, real quick?
Oh, it was good. I did the 9-minute workout again with the family.
Oh.
I will tell you that I was definitely sore from yesterday's 9-minute workout.
I thought it was 7 minutes.
It
we
is
just
7
up the
minutes, but you
number?
actually have to do 9 minutes of time. The video is 9 minutes long because of all the rest stuff. I call it the 9-minute because I am advertising correctly and not false advertising like the app
Oh.
or like the thing. I want people to know it's 9 minutes of your time, not 7 minutes. Like the
Oh
lie.
my! You're just beating me down.
I want y'all to know this.
Speaking of beating
Maybe you
down,
should do the 5-minute, and then it'll just be 7 minutes.
Oh, that's even. I'm gonna look for that.
I feel like this is going
Sure, there
somewhere.
is that.
Priscilla
Jamie,
says she's going to work out and listen to us. That's
Right.
cool. I hope we provide you what you need to move to that next step. So periodically through the show, Priscilla, we're just going to be like, do one more rep. You can do this. Stay on there for 5 more minutes. You got it for 5 more minutes.
we need to be like Peloton people and excited about it.
Yes,
Right.
we will be. Speaking
Just,
of which,
just 100 meters.
I did both of my 10 minutes again today.
Awesome.
Oh.
So, Paul, if you're watching,
He is.
I'm on my 3rd day. At least I did 2 10-minute runs in my basement by myself down here, and it's only because I feel like I'm just turning into a slob or blob down here, guys. Because I just work from home, and I'm just like, oh, I sit in this chair all day. It sucks. And so I run upstairs to check on the kids, and then knowing that we had, for those who weren't here on Wednesday, we had Paul Faulkner from Lubbock Fit on the show, and I thought to kind of prepare for that, I was like, I want to know some stuff about running. I saw these 2 videos, and there was the right mixture of things, and Sandy, she runs, and Paul, and I was like, I think I'm just going to get up and start running in place. Just do it. Let's just see. And I did it, and this 3rd day I've been doing it. I'm like, okay.
That's nice.
So I'm going to do it again before I go to bed tonight. And then I'm kind of excited to get out the house this weekend. Although, guys,
Did y'all get snow?
yes, and then it melted. And now we're scheduled here in Bloomington for another, what was it? You guys correct me, but 2 to 5 inches tonight.
Really?
Wow.
It started raining a little, I don't know, maybe an hour, 2 hours ago or something like that. And it's rain, but it's going to turn into snow. And then, yeah,
That
Wow.
is-
That
It's
is so
April 16th.
crazy.
it's April 16th.
Man, that really sucks for you, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
how
in
late do y'all
shorts
get snow
today.
normally?
What'd you say, Sandy?
How late do y'all get snow normally? I mean,
April 16th.
so is this the latest that it's gone?
No. So last year, Sandy, we're gonna have a discussion about this. Last year, my wife took me to the Superman
I saw I
celebration.
remember seeing your picture. Yes.
Mhm.
for our anniversary, which is in May. And I remember the weekend before that, there was snow. I was
Really?
like, are you kidding me? So yeah. So we'll
That's
see what
so
happens.
crazy.
Yeah. I'll
That
look real quick
is
before
awesome.
Paul and Jamie got me motivated. I'm on day 3 of biking, yoga, and beginner. Girl,
Good
you got us
job,
beat.
Good
Carrie.
job, Carrie.
you.
Wow, you
You are
are
a stud. Come on.
impressive.
I
Well,
mean,
I don't know if you
I
know
am
yoga.
like-
stud, but
Super proud of you.
You're a Wonder Woman. That's what you
Thank
are.
you
You're a
for
Wonder
showing me up. I appreciate that.
What, did you do that all in 7 minutes?
You're right, exactly.
Well, listen up. We've gone on for a while because of our technical stuff and just catching up, but we have a really exciting show tonight. We have a guest who we're really excited to bring on. I think all of our promo for this was pretty exciting. And, you know, for those of you who don't know what Magic is, I'm going to have our guest explain in a minute. But I got to tell you, before I invited him on, I kind of had an idea that this would be kind of nice. We got a chance, the three of us got a chance to meet with our guest earlier today, and I think I'm speaking for the three of us when I say after meeting with him for a little bit, we're much more hyped about actually having him come on
Yeah,
tonight. And
exactly.
I hope you will be too. So stick around with us for an hour, and welcome as we introduce Mark Poyer.
Hey,
Hey,
Mark.
Hey,
Welcome to the
Mark.
show.
Welcome.
God, thanks for having me.
We need a clap track, Joe. Welcome.
I'm more.
Oh, all that stuff you did, you can do a Sorry, Mark. So yeah, Mark, welcome to the show. I don't know if you've been able to watch any of our shows, but you know this is something that Joe,
Yeah.
Sandy, and I we just get together and we like to have people on and come and join us and
Yeah.
people who have interesting stories or you know niches in their life that they kind of own. And I'm so glad that you decided to come join us tonight.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I've watched a little bit, and it's been fun to watch you guys. It's something that I miss being around friends, and so seeing three friends just kind of cutting it up, like they're sitting in a basement together, has been incredible. So, you know,
Yeah.
glad you can sit on your couch in your basement online.
Well, thanks. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so that our viewers can kind of get to know who you are?
Yeah. So I grew up in Bloomington, Illinois. I know Jaime through church. I have this hobby called Magic the Gathering that I've been playing since 2006. In 2006, I moved away for a while. I lived in Anchorage, Alaska from 2006 to 2010, the Sarah Palin years. You betcha. And when I
No
got
comment.
I had to find something to do in the winter because you got like 6 months of snow on the ground. And so I took up this hobby. And what it is it's these trading cards. I'll show you kind of what they look like here. It's Magic the Gathering. And you collect them, a bit like Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards a lot of kids play. But this game's older than both of those. It came out in the early 90s. And it's much more complicated, much more collectible. Arguably, Pokemon there's some cards that are as expensive, but generally, Magic's kind of the granddaddy of trading card games. There's like 16,000 unique cards in the game, so it'd be
Wow.
like chess where you had 16,000 pieces. You picked the top 60 that you wanted to play with. You sat down on the board. You played against somebody else with your favorite 60 pieces. That's kind of how the gameplay works a little bit. You build a deck of you build your own deck ahead of the game starting. You don't have the same deck as your other friends, and you battle against each other. Basically, the theme is like a wizard duel, where two wizards are trying to kill each other, and they summon dragons and demons, and they shoot fireballs at each other, and they try to suck each other into an abyss until one of them's dead. And it's incredibly creative for people who like to create new ideas and program. There's a lot of programming type people. It's very competitive. There's tournaments all over the country. A lot of my best friends in Anchorage that played were military guys. They were in the Air Force. We'd play on base, off base, because these guys could travel with portable cards all over the world. And they play on ships and planes in Iraq and Afghanistan. They come back to Anchorage and play friends there. And we'd hang out in the local card shops and cut it up and play for hours.
How long does a normal game or average game last when you sit down?
It's just head-to-head, one-on-one. One game is probably 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
If you get a bunch
Oh,
of players
wow.
in a circle playing like more complicated multiplayer game, one game could last an hour or two. But generally, you plan on playing multiple games.
Right.
So I had some experience, I thought, when I was younger. You mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh earlier. I thought this was funny for Evan. If you're watching this or you can catch this in the after show. Joe, you remember, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So one of our friends back in Lubbock, her son Evan, he played Yu-Gi-Oh, and I think he may have been in the same, almost the same level as you in seriousness, at least in playing. And I actually had a little bit of experience playing Yu-Gi-Oh on the computer, and I was like, "Oh, I'll play. We'll see. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be as good as you." And so he was like, "Okay, you can use some of my deck." And he put the cards out, and I got my cards. I remember I put 1 or 2 cards down, and then like 3 seconds later, it was done. I was like, "Wait, what did you?" He just started flipping cards over and I was just like, I didn't follow any of that, but I know I lost severely. And so I kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie.
No, let's go ahead.
Do you keep his cards if you win, or
Oh.
No.
okay?
There's not usually betting.
Not usually.
Okay.
Oh.
So when you're
It doesn't happen.
betting-
Generally, if you want to play for something, you get into a tournament, and there's
Okay.
it's local, like 10, 20, up to 50 people locally, and then there's major events with thousands of people that come and play. And it's like the World Series of Poker in Vegas. They might hold an event in Vegas or Indianapolis Convention Center, different things around the world, and they have vendors that come out. They sell ultra rare cards and supplies, and the people staying in hotels, and it's a big deal.
It's
Oh wow!
So Magic has its own like conventions, like the Comic-Con that they have, or
Yeah, it used to be called Grand Prix. They switched the name recently. They're called Magic Fests. There's usually, I don't want to say like 4 a year in the US, but then they hold them around the world too, like in Sao Paulo, Tokyo, Paris, and different places. And people travel. I've traveled to Indianapolis. I can't say I've traveled much farther than that personally, but
is that a big one there? Is it like a pretty large?
well, Indianapolis specifically, there's something called Gen Con, which is like Comic-Con, but it's for games specifically, and it's not just Magic the Gathering. It's
For
like
what kind of games you said?
just all games, tabletop.
tabletop games.
not
Tabletop
video
games.
but like tabletop games, and they
Right.
have like 100,000 people come to these Gen Con events. They're crazy big. Not as much costumes as Comic-Con. Like the cosplay thing is not as big.
Right.
There are people that do cosplay. Mostly people are just there to play. They buy new games. There's demos of new games. There's old games that people haven't played in years. They just get together in a huge convention hall, selling all this crazy valuable stuff.
And so we're not talking about like Monopoly or Life,
Well-
Candyland, Candy Lane, Candy Shoot, whatever that was.
yeah,
Shoots and ladders.
Same difference.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, more like
More like Dungeons and Dragons. More like
there's
Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. I think
but there's also a lot of like board games like Settlers of Catan and
Oh yeah,
this
Catan.
that kind of thing.
And Warhammer, isn't Warhammer a pretty big one too? I think, or something like. Yeah.
So Warhammer, I've seen that's a video game, right? But it started off as a card game or a board game.
Warhammer is like little pewter miniatures that people
Mhm.
put on these like big tables with like trees and buildings and stuff,
Okay.
and they battle armies against each other. That's a whole other hobby.
Yeah, it's ginormous. Yeah, it's amazing that the board game, or we call it board games, but it's more than that. It's really a big genre of games that are based on either cards or rolling the dice and stuff like that. And that's what you're basically part of, is that. But Magic is the oldest of those card games. Is that correct?
Magic is the oldest card game, but it's not the oldest like tabletop game. I mean,
Mhm.
the guy that invented Magic, the story goes that he was trying to demo a board game to a company called Wizards of the Coast, and Wizards of the Coast is a small company that couldn't afford to produce a board game. And so Peter Atkinson, the guy that was the founder, he said, "Look, what I really need is like a card game, something people could play in between Dungeons and Dragons while they're waiting for the next event to go on, and like that." And so Richard Garfield, the inventor of Magic the Gathering, is like, "Okay, I got an idea. The concept is not everybody starts with the same pieces. So we have this game. Everybody gets different pieces that they collect outside the game. They bring them into the game. They play them against each other, and each piece, each card, sort of bends the rules in a different way. Sort of like a chess piece can move a certain direction.
Right.
Each card bends the rules a little differently. And so you you end up having these really crazy interactions where people are doing all this stuff that, I mean, it's never the same game twice, you
Right.
know, because they all combine together in different ways.
It also forces people to go out and buy new cards or trade those cards
Well,
with
it's
their
an
friends and stuff like that.
It's an expensive hobby. It's not, well, let me put it this way. You can live on a budget, but you better have a budget. If you're gonna, I've gotten to the point now where I've got a weekly allowance.
Is your wife standing over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
When we first got married, I took
What
a
a
little
great wife.
apartment, and we've worked out some things since then. Keep on
Right.
So,
He's like, he's looking.
He said we've worked out some things. In other words,
we worked out an allowance for me.
Yeah.
we both agree on.
So, speaking of allowance, then, since you kind of opened that door, what can we ask are some of your prized possessions?
Sure. So let me preface by saying I'm more of a collector than the average player. Most players probably have, boxes, maybe 5,000, 10,000 cards, something like that. But the total value of their collection might be, $1,000, $2,000. It's something they piece together over months and years. And the most expensive cards might be like $50 or $100 for a card. I'm kind of unusual because I've really gone out of my way to collect some of the oldest, rarest cards in the game. I've got stuff that goes back from first printing. The problem with first printing is back then people didn't play with cards protected. So like when you play, you can play with the deck and shuffle it like a card. What happens over time is you get wear. So like this card is kind of an older card. I don't know if you can see it very well, but
Yeah.
it's kind of more
like a
worn,
dark heart to me.
writing on the edges. It's hard to tell on the camera, but they get worn out over time. And so a lot of the older cards are in beat up condition. Now, as the game went on, they started finding ways of protecting the cards. You put them in like plastic sleeves, So like this one is, I'll show you, it's in plastic.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
because
see
you're
that.
like laying them on the table too, and that friction right there could cause wear and tear.
Right. So now when you play, you protect your stuff, and newer stuff is in better condition, but old stuff, man, it got torn up. And so there's to get old stuff and to get stuff in good condition is hard. And so I've gone out and I've made a point to collect some of the oldest, most valuable stuff. I can show you 9 of my prized possessions here. There's 9 cards called the Power 9 that are kind of like the Holy Grail. And there's one in particular that's the most valuable.
The holy grail of cards, of magic cards.
These are the hot ones. These are the
Hold on. So, not spoiler alert, but for if any of you are watching this, or any of you who are watching this after this is aired live, be prepared to be blown away.
I feel like I'm watching Antiques Roadshow. I'm just waiting for the value.
Right, exactly.
So these are my 9 best. This is what you call the Power 9.
Oh, they're pretty.
Glare here as best I can.
Okay.
They are all wrapped.
These, there's 5 of these that form a set. The Moxen. There's a couple blue spells that there's different colors there that are better than others. And then this one's the piece de resistance. This is the masterpiece. This is the one. Try to get it.
That's the Mona Lisa.
Cover
This
at
is
the
the Mona
top.
Lisa. This one,
Okay.
okay, here we go. This is called the Black Lotus. And Black Lotus, they had them in a white border. They had them in a black border.
Okay.
And mine is in a black border, so it's first edition. It's not second edition. And it's in really, really good condition, like pretty much mint. So I won't give you an exact figure on air, but to give you
It's
an
up there.
idea, when I had a chance to buy it, I had to cash out part of my 401k to get it.
Oh, snap.
I'm
Surprised you're allowed to live.
in the stock market at the time. because I didn't think I would ever see one again in that condition. And I know the way that they had tended to get more and more valuable over time.
Uh-huh.
So I acquired mine about 4 years ago, and it's since about tripled in value.
Oh,
So
What?
it was a good investment on my part. But the Black Lotus is like more in like I have insurance policies on this and some of the other more valuable ones. 'Cause,
wow.
You hear that, Sandy?
You know,
Yes.
You
I've
got
never
insurance.
heard anything like that before.
Right.
You're in the insurance business, right, Sandy?
I am.
Yeah.
You've never
I got a
insured a
personal
deck of
article
cards?
policy, and I almost had to put it to use last year when we had somebody break into our home, steal my car and my card collection.
What?
Oh my goodness. That would
Are you
have.
s-
That's scary.
I would have been
Oh, that-
knocking some knees down. It's like-
That's right. I remember this. So Mark and I go to the same church, and I remember when that came out, and there was, I don't know if it was a Facebook post or you mentioned it to me at church, and I knew at the time it was a big deal to you. I just never realized that it was one where 401k plans had to be taken out to get one of
Yeah.
these cards.
You know,
The
the
scope.
total value of the collection was tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, it wasn't, again, I won't give you an exact figure, but it was, the person that stole it was eventually caught. I don't think he had any idea what he had stolen. And at the time, I had
You got them all back?
I had to explain to the police that he had taken my car too, that I was more concerned about the magic in the car.
Right, exactly. It's like the car is worthless.
The car you can replace. But the cards, I didn't even
You're
know.
like,
how
I can get a new car with one card.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So let me ask you this. I know it's the highest value. It's the highest value card, but is it the most? Is it a card worth playing, or was it something that you would even have in your deck, or is it just because
Yeah.
of its rarity that makes it valuable because it's first
Right.
edition, first print, that type of stuff?
Good question. So, because the game's been going on so long, they've got different, like, I guess you call them like weight classes. It's like in boxing, you know, you have like a welterweight or a heavyweight, and you can play with different sets of cards depending on how powerful you want the decks to be. Like
Right.
if you want to just play like recent sets, the standard sets, the last 2 years, you just play like the most recent sets. Then you can get into older sets, older sets, older sets. So Black Lotus specifically can only be played in the heavyweight format, the oldest format, and
Okay.
most cards you play with in a deck, you have a 60 card deck, you can play up to 4 copies, but certain cards are so powerful that they restrict them to just 1 copy. So you can play with 1 copy of a Black Lotus in the heaviest weight format, and there's so few people that can even do that they travel all over the world to meet each other and play. They go
Really?
to these big conventions.
So
And
have you been in there?
yeah, Gen Con and some of this different stuff. You be sitting in these convention halls with these guys, stacks of cards worth tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, sitting in a room, and most people have no clue how much money is sitting on the table. It'd be like poker players, instead of playing with chips, playing with cash on the table. I mean,
Right.
it's nuts. So
What was one of the
Yeah,
ones that you saw
collector.
that was just like out of, blew your mind? What and why did it blow your mind away?
say the first part of your question again. I'm sorry.
What's one of the duels, I guess, that you attended or that you've seen that just kind of blew your mind away for, not just for the skill, but just for the cards that were being thrown down and the amount of money maybe that was on the line? Do you have a
Well, like I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I went to Gen Con, and I was sitting next to a guy named Dave Williams, who's a professional poker player.
okay.
And he's one of these guys that makes, probably millions of dollars a year playing poker. But he's playing in this heavyweight Magic format because it's fun for him. Like this is how he unwinds,
So he plays poker and he's making millions on that, and he plays Magic too now.
For
Yeah.
fun.
For
so
fun.
I was sitting nearby him, and I knew that he had a famous incident where he was playing, and he had his deck box. Usually, a lot of times you're going to store your individual decks in these boxes. So he had
Okay.
a deck box sitting next to him on the table, and he turned his head to talk to somebody. When he turned back, it was gone. and somebody had just snatched it, put it in the bag, and walked away.
Oh my goodness.
gosh.
It was one of these things where like he probably lost, $30,000-$50,000 with somebody grabbing it. He got the money back in an insurance claim, and I got to sit next to him and I asked him, "So what did you do?" He said, "Well, I got it all back, and I was able to buy new stuff." And I was looking at his stuff, and he replaced everything, but it ended up being like this big deal in the Magic community, because this was a real high-profile player.
Yeah.
Had been ripped off, and so after that, they started talking about trying to rope off the games areas for the real high-end players. And
Right. Yeah.
if you're going to play in the real heavyweight formats, you're going to go like into the back room, so to speak. And
Right.
Oh my! You have to
Mark,
have a
do you-
background check and everything.
Right.
Right. Do you play in the back room?
So, Mark,
not recently, but I would like to. So,
Sandy has a question.
so say I was at the flea market, could I find a card like this? Where do you find these things? So maybe I want to go shopping.
yeah. So the place I recommend if you're looking to play the game, there's usually what's called a local game store. There's some place in your town that sponsors events. They sell the cards. They sell sealed packs of cards where you don't know what you're getting, and they sell individual cards, singles. If you want to like build your deck a certain way, you can buy the individual cards you need. And then they'll host like weekly events, sometimes multiple times a week. They'll have tables set up, people come together and play. The local game stores are incredible for supporting the gameplay. And then, if you want to take it back to your kitchen table, something like that, you can do that too. But what's great is that you're always finding new players there. You end up getting this like community built around it. I joke that with my local game store owner, he's got a bar without alcohol. That basically we just know each other. We come in every week, and it's like, Norm, good to see you.
Y'all are cheers, but with cards.
Yeah. You're just like you're drinking Mountain Dew instead of beer, and hanging out with your friends. And some of them move away, some new guys come in. You play, hang out. It's a good time. It's a very social game, and some of the local game stores in town here. There's Collectible Corner. And then there's the one that I go to most often, a store called Red Raccoon Games.
I know Red Raccoon. I know that place.
Red Raccoon Games sells a lot of different games, but I'm usually there every Friday night playing with other people. Not usually the heavyweight stuff. The heavyweight stuff usually only comes out like for special occasions. Most of the time I'm playing, we open up some new packs and we play the new cards against each other each
The
week.
new cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you can kind of test your skills because you don't know the deck very well, so you just have the cards. Right.
You
Okay.
build decks on the fly, and then you play them against each other, and that's it's a format called drafting, where you open new product and play against each other, and that's a more even playing field. Because if I'm just coming out with the heavyweight deck, and I'm playing against guys with the welterweight decks, it's just not even fair. You know?
So I know some of the guys, at least I remember you like invited some fellas over to the house and y'all would play Magic. When
Yeah.
they come to your house, are you pulling out the heavy deck? And do those guys have equally heavy decks as you?
Not usually. No.
I don't think so.
So if we're having a Final Fantasy draft of Magic players, then I'm going to choose Mark to be on my team.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some incredible players. I mean, people that are way more skilled than I am. But again, because of the collecting aspect, the hobby aspect of it, they don't necessarily have even access to buy all the cards to play in the heavier formats. So if you're serious about playing in the heavier formats, you tend to borrow cards from your friends that really trust you. I've lent
Yeah.
No, we're not. friends.
You're gonna have to leave your card here, and I'll let you borrow this card.
Where's your kid? Where's your kid?
What's your firstborn?
often they'll leave other cards behind as collateral, and then
Oh, okay.
borrow a few pieces here
Wow.
and there that they're missing.
So I just did a quick Facebook search on Magic the Gathering, and they have Magic the Gathering itself has 1.7 million likes, and then there's a group for the buy sell trade part of it, and there's 22,000 members in that group.
Wow.
So if you are looking for a card or to buy sell trade with someone, I think that would be a good group to join.
Like I want to go to a garage sale and someone just selling something for 50 cents, and then it'd be worth like 25,000.
Right, exactly.
So,
Oh my gosh.
I mentioned the game stores, like if you buy a new product, but collectors a lot of times are looking for those garage sale buys. They're looking to buy out their friends, want to get out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're on Facebook. Used to be on Craigslist, eBay is huge, and then there's online stores that sell a lot of the more high-end pieces. And so when I was up in Anchorage, I'll tell you a story. I was one of the first to get an iPhone of anybody I knew. I had a 3G, like right after it came out, 2007, right?
Nice.
I couldn't believe that I could walk around with the internet in my pocket because it meant that I could look up prices on cards when I was making transactions with people.
Oh,
And
wow.
at that point, nobody really knew how valuable this stuff was until they go and sit down and look it up. So I would look for these Craigslist auctions, or not auctions, Craigslist listings in Anchorage. Because in Anchorage, everybody's using Craigslist. Everybody's moving up, moving away, coming and going. It's a very transient state. And I would find somebody that was listing some magic cards. I would go and get a stack of cash, hide it somewhere on me, and I would show up like to the transaction, and I'd start looking through their stuff. And I could look up prices really quick, and then I'd make an offer, and I'd say, "I get cash now. You want this?" They said, "Deal." And I would buy things, collections that were worth, $3-4 grand. Sometimes I could get them on the cheap because I knew what they were worth, and the other guy. I won't say I was ripping people off. I was trying to be fair as I could.
I'd
But-
say you were more like
Here's what
American
happens.
Picker.
Buy what you know is in the collections. I would look at as much as I could in the time frame they'd let me. So based on what I'm seeing here, looking at prices, this is what I know this collection is worth. I'll pay this much for it. They said deal. Then I get home and I'd look through and see what was really in it. And I'd look through all the other cards because they have boxes and boxes of cards. I'd start pulling out $5, $10, $20 cards I didn't get to see the first time.
Oh, okay. So you weren't like trying to rip them off. They didn't even know what they had.
They didn't know. I only had like half an hour to look through it.
Right.
So I started looking through it, and I'd find the stuff. And then what I'd do is I'd start selling to local shops, my friends, selling eBay. And a lot of times I could sell off enough stuff to recoup my money and then keep a big chunk of the rest of everything I want to keep. So I kept building up my collection. And so roll around to 2015. My wife and I, we've been working on this adoption from Bulgaria. We were trying to adopt a little girl from Bulgaria, which is crazy expensive. It's like $40,000 or $50,000 when start to finish. So one of the ways that we funded our adoption process was I sold off a big chunk of cards.
Wow.
I sold off a ton of stuff. This is before I bought the
This is before you bought the big 5, big 9.
the Power 9, the Power 9.
Right.
But I sold off, thousands of dollars in cards, and it helped fund the adoption. So I mean, the whole thing was just a real blessing that I was able to do that, all because of the power of an iPhone, a little bit of research, and some sweat work.
Wow.
Selling cards online. So,
Mark,
Yeah.
do you see like a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Like rip-off cards? Like are they
Fakes?
yes,
Counterfeits.
fake. Counterfeit.
I actually own a couple.
Oh.
So here, I'll try to pull one out for you here.
While you pull that out, I just want to share. I'm sure this isn't yours because I just went to eBay and did a search for that Black Lotus. This one is a signed card. I don't know who signed it, but this signed card's selling for $45,000.
$45,000?
Yeah.
Are there any buyers?
But after that, it varies all over the place. This one, it's only because it's signed. I don't know who the person who signed it, but it's signed by someone. But the rest fall all over the board.
Wow.
And I'm sure for me,
It's
looking at
probably
it,
not because it's signed. It's probably because of the condition and because of what it is.
Who would have signed it, Mark?
What's that?
Who would have signed it?
Typically, it's one of two people. It's either the artist who did the artwork, or it's on an old enough card like a Black Lotus. A lot of times, people want Richard Garfield, the creator of the game, to sign it.
Oh, yeah, that would.
So either
this
the
has a last name that begins with an
creator
R.
or the artist would typically sign a Black Lotus. So,
Wow.
okay, here. I got a fake one versus the real one. All right.
Okay.
Now I'm going to hold up both of these. And you saw the real one a minute ago. Now, which one is real? Which one's fake? Can you tell?
Hold on.
Oh, the one with the on in your left hand is the real one, I would think.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Yeah.
No,
One, two,
two.
two,
Two.
two. She says two. Two is the fake one.
Yeah.
This is the fake one. So the
You could tell by just the color.
but the color's off.
Yeah.
You take them out of the card. The texture of the card is different. And then if you really get down to it, you can look through like a jeweler's loop. You can see the dot patterns on the ink, and basically because of the fidelity of the image, you can see that this is probably fake. Now there's other tests you can do too. You can oftentimes tell by the thickness. You can tell by the weight. You can weigh them. You can hold them up to light and shine light through it. Depending on how the light goes through it, you can tell. And if you're willing to risk damaging the cards, there's a test where you bend it in half. You get the top part to touch the bottom part, you fold it down, and a lot of the fake cards will split apart. But the real one will hold integrity. And the problem with that is on a really, really old card, you still don't want to compromise the integrity of the really, really old card.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of hearing the stories about like during the Inquisition when they were going to prove a woman was a witch or not. They'd be like, drown her. If she survives, she's a witch. If she doesn't, then she wasn't.
Like Monty
That's what that
Python,
makes me think of. I don't know why, but
if
that's
she
what I hear.
floats, then she's a witch.
Right.
Duck. So if she weighs the same as a duck, she's a witch. Yep, that's it.
Someone has a $45,000 card. If you bend it and it meets, then you got a legit one. But now it's not $45,000.
Right. It's-
Now it's 45 cents.
There you go.
Yeah. So no, but that's a real problem. The counterfeiting, dealers, they have special like lights. They have the loops. They'll often want their experts to look at them. The guys that handle them a lot can tell almost immediately. You know, the ones that deal with really high end stuff, they've got a pretty good eye for this. Even the best counterfeits right now are coming out of China. There's printers in China that are doing almost exactly the real thing, but even those aren't perfect. And now the reason I have a fake one, the reason I have a couple fake ones are I want to play with my Black Lotus in multiple decks, but I don't want to own multiple copies because they're so expensive.
right.
Wow.
I'll use the fake one instead.
Yeah, and I don't want to bring it out there. I don't
wanna-
need somebody to steal my deck.
So they know when you're playing against someone, they know that you have a fake one because you're just throwing it out.
If you're
willy-nilly, right?
playing with friends, they'll let you play with the fake ones. They're called
Ah,
proxies.
okay.
Mhm.
If you're playing in an official tournament, you got to play the real ones or you're out. So,
Oh.
You'd be like, I guess I'm out.
so the official tournaments, I mean, like you want to own the real thing. Even if you own a beat up copy, like I've seen copies that were like beat to hell. I mean, like the corner were scraped up and super whitened, and they had dirt marks on them. And somebody had taken a marker and marked all over it. I mean, there's some really beat to hell ones that you can play them in a tournament. You know, they look ugly, but they work.
Wow.
Right.
Um,
And in the
there-
tournament, it's not
Those are
in the
worth
tournament. It's not
$1,000.
the value of the card that matters. In the tournament, it's not the value of the card that matters. It's how that card is played that
Played.
matters.
yeah.
So that's why you could throw a torn up one, but it still has its effectiveness or whatever it's supposed to do on the battlefield, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, in the game, it doesn't matter the condition of your card. But well, and I'll give you an example of that. So I told you I had my cards stolen. We did recover them, thankfully, with a lot of help from the Bloomington Police Department and my friends at Red Raccoon Games. We were able to find it was a young man who lived in my neighborhood that just entered our house while we were having dinner on the back porch, grabbed something out of my room and ran off. When we got the
You
car
were having
back,
dinner in your back porch,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
they came in while all of you,
yeah,
you and your whole family.
yeah.
Wow,
So
that's
based on the timing,
brazen.
based on the timing of when this had to have happened, we were home. We were probably on the back porch having dinner.
Daylight or
Daylight.
nighttime?
Daylight. This was in June last year.
He must have been one of them crackheads. Golly, that's crazy to try to do that stuff in the morning.
No, I never got a chance to talk with him. I mean, he was underage, so it was.
Oh,
I
had no
imagine
clue.
this wasn't just somewhere like open the door and just reach your hand in. Like
He
They
rummaged.
had to come into my bedroom. They had to come in the front door, up a flight of stairs, down the hall, into my bedroom, and take. And I swore So the way it happened was I didn't even notice the night it happened. It was the next morning I noticed I couldn't find my keys, and I looked around. I noticed my car was missing, and so I looked outside. I'm like, honey, where's my car? Did you go anywhere with it? She's like,
Where's my car?
and
Dude,
So-
where's my car?
we called the police. We put in a report on a missing card. I thought someone had just reached in the door and grabbed the keys. It wasn't until that night I noticed the cards were missing too. I had them in this like portable safe. There was like a fire safe.
Oh, that's why he grabbed it, because it was in a safe.
It was in a safe. And
he grabbed the safe.
He just grabbed the safe. So he grabbed the safe and ran off with it. He might have thought there was like a gun or cash or something in it. I don't know. So I didn't notice the cards were missing for hours. When I found out the cards were missing, first of all, the police officer said the car, you'll probably get back. Most cars are found within about 48 hours. Sure enough, 2 days later, we found the car.
Oh, are you serious?
But the cards, I thought I'm never going to see these again. For two reasons. One, it's so hard to trace and find them. They're small. But two, I knew whoever took it. I knew that they had to know what they were taking
Right?
Yeah.
to do that.
And you think it was
Right.
like a
Why
a
would you
friend
grab
or someone
cards?
you
There's
knew,
jewelry
right?
all around here. Why would you grab
They left
cards?
the laptop 3 feet away. They left other stuff that they didn't take. I'm like, they had to know what they were taking. I thought it was someone I knew. I felt this
Oh.
tremendous sense of betrayal for like several weeks. I was worried, like one of my close friends is like, backstabbing or something.
Right.
It was the most horrible time where I just felt all this suspicion and stuff. And I just didn't know. It was just driving me crazy trying to figure out.
Yeah, you're just waiting for somebody to play that card. You're just like, that's my card.
Or not just play it, but who put the card down, right? You're also just
Right.
you're sick to your stomach thinking, I don't want it to be Jaime. Oh my gosh, it's Jaime. I don't...
That's just it. I didn't know who I could trust. Well, so it was about several weeks later, the young man went into Red Raccoon Games. And I'm real good friends with the people over there. The owner, Jamie, he was working that day, and he saw some of the stuff this kid was trying to sell. Kid clearly didn't know what he had. He was selling things that were like way more expensive than he should have. And if he could hold on to it to get his magic guy to look at him, the kid kind of like, no thanks, like bolted. So then he called the police. We got a video of him. We started sharing it with our friends, and we were able to find the young man. And police
Wow.
followed him for a couple of weeks until he was going to pawn shops trying to unload a few things at a time. Finally, they caught him at one of the pawn shops in the act, and they asked his parents, can we search his room? They found the rest of my stuff. So when they found the rest of my stuff, it was kind of in like heaps and piles. And a lot of times you want to store things in like a hard plastic case so they don't bend, okay?
Right.
Like you can't play with these cases, but they're good for storage. Well, I had certain cards that were like super valuable that weren't in those cases. And I was so nervous it was going to be damaged. There was not a lot of damage, but there was one card that was damaged. It was a Beta Underground Steve, knows what it is. And if you can see it right there,
like a crease or something.
Crease. That crease half the value of the card.
Oh.
Insurance claim for a couple $1,000.
Oh my God.
Stupid crease. Because it got banged up.
Yeah,
The
Mark.
kid didn't know what he had. So
But I guess the upside or the silver line or whatever is that it's a horrible situation that happened to you, but it was just that one card, right?
there was that card that was dinged up. There were a couple others that were not as badly dinged, that weren't as valuable, and then there was one card missing for a couple hundred. And so altogether, honestly, I was so happy to get everything back. I thought I was never going to see it again. To this
Did
moment,
you cry?
no. But
I'd have cried. I'm not lying, guys. I'd have been crying. I'd have been like, God, thank you. Oh my gosh.
I saw somebody in the comments ask for the purse at a tournament. So
Yes.
To be honest, most tournaments are not playing with the heavyweight stuff. Again, I started with all this by saying I'm kind of an outlier because I collect more than the average person. Most tournaments, it's like $20, $30, $50 entry fee, and the purse at a big tournament might be like 10 grand. Like if you have like 5,000 people, you start looking at it as like tens of thousands of dollars. Like most local tournaments you're going to play in, you're playing for like additional product, additional cards, maybe like stroke at the shop that's hosting the event, that kind of thing. And those purses are, maybe $30, $100, something like that. I mean, you pay a $15 entry fee and maybe win, $50 if you clean it out.
So you're not playing these tournaments to like fund your next anything. You're just playing it for the love of the game and in that type of situation.
So if you're looking to get into this game, you're probably going to start out with somewhat of a budget. You might want to set aside, $30, $50 a month. Start collecting some pieces here and there, and play in some events. And no, you're not really going to come away with a lot of money from playing the game, except that you had a lot of fun. And then a lot of times the cards, if you ever want to sell out, are worth something when you go to sell them out. So that's nice too, because it's like you could spend $10 on a game of bowling. When a game of bowling is done, you got nothing to show for it. But if you go to the card shop and you play in this little tournament, you might win something. And then you kind of add to your collection, And so it kind of keeps the money. You get a little bit back when you play. So.
Awesome. So what are some good resources where if we wanted to join this community and be part of this gaming situation, where would you direct us?
I would seriously recommend you start going to your local game store. Try to figure out who's selling this stuff and hosting events in your area. Most guys, when they meet a new player, when I say guys, I use that loosely. There are men and women that play. There are old and young that play. I've played against probably 8-year-olds in some of these events. I've played against people in their 60s.
Nice.
I've played against men and women. There's a lot of men in their 20s and 30s that play, but there's all types of people that play. They're all very nice to new players. They'll usually give them some new cards to get started. They'll help teach them how to get into it. If you start going, try to go, a couple times a month down to the shop, play with some other people, you'll start getting into it. You get a play group. You might get invited to somebody's house, or a number of people go to like Denny's or Steak and Shake and hang out at the tables and play a couple hours into the evening. That's a great way to get started. If you already have a few people that want to play, like you have a group of friends that want to get into this, you can also find a lot of these products at Target, Walmart. They'll have sealed product, but you won't get the same support. You won't get the same community as you get going to a local game store. So support local. In Bloomington, it's Red Raccoon Games and Collectible Corner, both great places. I'm usually at Red Raccoon Games. If you want to say, hey, I'd be happy to help teach a new player. But I'm sure there's a local game store near you. They're all over the country. And right now they need your support because a lot of them are closed.
Right. Absolutely.
So if you get a chance to help support them, we don't want to see them die out. You want to have that community. You want people to get together. It's a great social experience. It's one of the reasons I got into this. It's a really deep hobby, but it's a social hobby. You get out of the house, you see people.
Yeah.
You make new friends. It's not just sitting in front of a screen by yourself. It's getting you out of the house. And a lot of people that play are like computer guys, programming guys, and they're like, I get tired of sitting in front of a screen. I want something analog. So they'll go down to the game store and they find this is a really deep, rich game. Keeps them engaged for years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, good. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on tonight, Mark, and
Yes,
taking your
thank you,
time to tell us about this. I could ask about a dozen more questions, but we definitely need to wrap up and
Right.
get going. But man, I don't even know where to start. want to see your cards in person. So I'm kind of glad that you're here in town. And as soon as this all lifts up, I'm gonna go over and be like, okay, can I see these now a little up more close?
I'll teach you how to play.
Teach
I'll,
'em.
I'll totally play a game or two and see how good I am. I'll probably beat you too, right? That might
Absolutely.
happen.
Absolutely.
Well, Mark, is there anything you want to say before we have to let you go?
Well, again, support local and check out your local game store. Appreciate you guys having me on. It's great to meet all of you. And
Hey, it was great meeting you too.
Yes, then thank you for sharing all that information. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. We'll make sure to loop you in if we get any more questions afterwards. So pay attention when the feed ends. You might get your name tagged in there.
Hey, he's got to pick the next topic too. So.
Oh, that's right. So Mark and everyone, we usually have our guest who's on. We usually have them pick a topic for tomorrow that we'll ask. And so Mark.
So I've got a short-term one and a long-term one. So I'll give you the one for tomorrow.
Okay.
So my passion is this paper product, these cards. But I'd like to learn more about comics because I know comic collecting is something that's really big, and condition of paper is super important, and how it all ties into this greater world of movies and cinema and everything now. I think that's a fascinating hobby that I really don't know much about.
Nice. I know somebody that likes comics.
Yeah.
Wonder who.
I got a long-term one though.
Uh-huh.
This might take a little more setup, but I'd really like to see Jaime bake something and get somebody that knows what they're doing to critique him.
Oh, that's perfect.
Somebody on the show that's like good at baking. I might have a suggestion for you. They could tell you what you're doing right and wrong. What else I'd like to see.
That is perfect. Those are great ideas, Mark.
Gordon Ramsay over there.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
And I know exactly what's going to happen when he comes. It's going to all be raw. It'll be like,
Right, exactly.
I'm done for. Okay, I appreciate that, Mark. Let's see what we can do about that. I think we can do something.
All right.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, you have a good
Thank
night,
you,
sir.
Mark.
You tell your wife hi and thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate everything.
All right,
Have a
Mark,
good
you take
night,
care.
Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Good night.
Man. Okay, so that is like way above what I thought anything like that was going to be.
Like that's a lot of money. Like, I mean, when he said expensive, I mean that's no joke.
I know. Originally, I was thinking what, like $50, $100 maybe.
Right.
I was not thinking.
Like that's a little car.
I bet you his total collection could buy a really nice house. here in
Yeah.
Lubbock. Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
And
he's-
some property.
You know what?
Still have money left over.
Right, exactly.
He is. Keep talking. I'm sorry. Let me look up something real quick.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Now we have to fill
huh.
up this dead air with us talking
Right.
while you're trying to Google something that we're trying to
I don't know. I just think that first time I've ever heard about something like this. And two, just price point is, I mean, so can you buy this? That's what I was going to ask. Can you buy these cards at Walmart? And
Yeah,
I've
he said
seen
that you do
packs.
have some packs in like Walmart and Target and those type of big boxes, but his main thing was to support the local guys.
okay, but so are they the same value, or are they stamped Walmart, Target, or?
No, you
You know,
can't
that's
tell.
a good point actually, because in the comic book world, guys, you could go to the comic shops and you'd get a specific. It would look a specific way, but then when we go to the store like Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
you'd get a different UPC code on there.
Yeah, it's
And
a different
depending on when
series.
you
Yeah.
went,
Mm-hmm.
where you got the comic book from, value would be different based on that.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good question for him.
So I was looking, Sandy. So the average cost range for international adoptions, because he said he used his cards to fund his adoption.
Right.
It says it's 20 to 40,000.
Well, he said 40 to
Yeah,
50,000.
he said
And-
it
yeah,
ended up
and
being
as a
40 to
collection.
50.
Oh, okay. So yeah. I want to know if any of you guys have some
Yeah.
crazy collection like Mark, where it's not this little rinky-dinky pocket change, but it's
Right.
really like, legit. Like I think of you, Joe, and I think probably like what's on par with him would be like your camera collection. You know, for
Right.
those who are just tuning in who don't know, Joe is a photographer, and Joe's a really good and professional photographer. And so I imagine
Right.
you have some, you know what I mean, Joe? You don't have
Yeah.
just your iPhone snapping around.
But the problem
everywhere.
with like my gear is that it depreciates, where his gear actually gets
Appreciates.
it gets
Oh.
more valuable. So like I use my gear. Like, so,
You don't have plastic covering
nothing's wrapped in plastic. So yeah, my gear goes down in value where his would actually go up. So I don't have any of that. I just have maybe the pictures that I make would probably go up in value, but you know, we'll see.
I'm not laughing at you, Joe, but look at Carrie said.
Carrie, I promise you, I thought the same thing. I'm like, okay, is this like Houdini? What are we talking about? David Blaine, David Copperfield?
Right, exactly.
What's that other guy that's set in Vegas? Chris
Uh,
Angel?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Chris Angel. Yeah.
Yeah, I
gonna
was
say
like, which one
Copperfield.
is he going to be?
Right, exactly. Or the guys with the white tigers, don't they do magic tricks too? Yeah, one of them got
Tigers.
mauled, I think so. I don't
Carol
know.
Baskin.
Yeah.
Hush.
Carol Baskin's husband got mauled. That's who you're
Right.
talking
That is crazy. But I love hearing about these, like, you know, because I've heard it in passing. I've seen the stuff. I kind of knew what genre it was kind of in, but then to actually see it, see someone that's really passionate about it and explain it to me, that was I love that. So I think it's really cool, even though it may not be any of our cup of tea. It was really
Right.
interesting to
Oh,
get that
definitely.
information.
I
yeah.
love to see new different things and stuff like that. I mean, it's a whole
Yeah.
new world. I mean,
Right.
And you know, the
eyes.
people we've had on our show, I mean, I think we've been a blessed group because we've had some people that I'm not, you know, an expert or know anything. Like our cologne guy, we had Jillian from TikTok. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. You know, we had the person whose soul was been attached to a demon or something like that. You know?
Ouija board person.
Stay away from the
exactly.
Ouija boards.
Well, and so that's what, you know, if you guys are watching, it's important for you. You may think that your hobby is kind of obscure or whatever, but they make really good podcasts or video casts. It really makes a lot of information, and you may get more people involved in your hobby and stuff like that. So don't be afraid whenever we post about, hey, do you have a hobby? Even if it's underwater basket weaving, I would love to hear about that and how you got started.
I know. I mean, is that such a thing? I mean, it probably is.
Right,
And I just laugh.
Right. So, you know, we're not here to judge you or anything like that. We just want as much information as we can and
Yeah.
and share your passion with the rest of the world during this time. So, I think it's really cool to
Carrie's
find
tripping
that.
me out. Carrie is tripping me out.
Carrie, I'm not even kidding. I mean, this. Whenever they said that, I'm like, oh, I'm ready.
Right.
Some
Exactly.
rabbit, some
Now-
doves.
Now
He's
the
like, how's
bar's
this
been
gonna
raised,
translate
now
on
we're
the-
gonna have to find a real magician, not just our magic card guy, but now we're gonna have to be like, okay, now this is the Magic, not the Gathering guy.
Right.
Eric
Exactly.
said, Sandy, you should call the guy that used to do the circle at Caboose.
Oh, what was his name, Joe?
Russell.
Russell. Oh, he passed away though, y'all.
What?
No, when?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
spider trick got me every
Yes.
time.
Every
What?
time. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Love that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about it here in a little
Okay.
bit. but
Wow. Oh,
Man.
God, I'm
Okay, so real quick before we sign off and stuff, I want to tell her I meant to do this at the beginning. We're gonna just do this real quick because we want to let everyone know. I appreciate Mark being on because one of the things he didn't say was that he runs a business here in town in Bloomington. He runs a staffing company that's part of his family, and he helps other people get jobs. We're going to do a little bit something new on the show starting tomorrow, today, tonight, whatever. We're going to start kind of advertising local businesses that we kind of want to just give props out to. We feel like we have a platform that helps us out, and we want to see other local businesses succeed in the time that we're, you know, this world is a different it's a different world right now, and the three of us talked about it and said, you know, we can use this as an opportunity to really showcase some local business that could use some support. And so I want to mention one of the businesses here in Bloomington. I reached out to them, and Texas Smokehouse. They have specials that they run, and so they're doing the curbside pickup. And if you guys here in Bloomington Normal want to head over there, they're doing lunch specials from 11 to 3. You buy one, you get one half off. and their lunch specials, any smoked meat sandwich and 2 side items. So head over there and just tell them you heard it here on the Social and Distancing Show.
Can they ship it to Lubbock?
Did you say they're called Texas Smokehouse?
They're really good tasting too. I do love this place.
Longhorn Smokehouse.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I heard Texas Smokehouse.
Oh,
Is
I did say Texas, didn't I?
I think you did. That's what
That's where I'm from.
Thanks, Mark.
Oh my goodness! I'm glad we did not charge them for that plug because they would be upset.
We'd have been refunding double.
I'm sorry. It's Longhorn Smokehouse.
It's the Longhorn Smokehouse, y'all. Give them some business. Go pick up some nice smoked food. Even though I've never been there, I'm sure
It
awesome.
is good. It's really. You guys would relate it to Bigham's Smokehouse. It's kind of like in that same vein.
Interesting.
Yeah. So every time I go there, that's what I think of in Lubbock is Bigham's Smokehouse. So.
All right.
Anyhow, all right. Well, I hope you come join us tomorrow night for our Freaky Friday episode. We got some spooky topics we're going to bring up, and hope you join us. Leave us some comments about what you want us to talk about. Maybe there's going to be something, or we can bring out one of your topics and do a little research and bring something from that. So,
Right. Awesome.
Without further ado,
Oh, remember to wash your hands.
for at least 20 seconds.
Yeah, filthy animals.
Good night,
Have a good
everybody.
Have a good night, y'all.
Bye.
See ya.